my blissful self. Now let us know in brief about Raksha Bandhan. What is exactly meant by Raksha Bandhan? Raksha Bandhan means protection from misery. That means we have to become free from misery. In ancient India, there was a queen by name Madalsa. And Queen Madalsa had a very strong desire to make all the citizens of her country and all her children into realized souls. And many of the citizens of her country and all her eight children became realized souls. How she did this? So, what she was doing, when she was feeding her children, when she was feeding her breast milk to her children, and when weaning the cradle, and when she was playing with her children, she used to sing the spiritual songs. And she was singing the spiritual songs in a very simple language so that her children can understand it in a very easy way. So when she was singing like that, she explained her children to sleep in a yogic sleep. She was telling, you sleep fearlessly. You have no fear at all. You are the only reality, and there is nothing other than you. And if there is no enemy outside, if there is nothing outside, how there will be fear? There will be no fear at all. To whom to fear? If there will be anybody, we have to fear. So, my children, you sleep in a yogic sleep without any fear. And she was explaining. So, the dream that is there, so it has been created by you only. You create the dream. So, whatever there is in the dream, so the people, the sun, the moon, the planets, the plants, the animals are created by the mind only. And all those are false. So, in the same way, so we feel that when we are in the dream, we feel that we are in the dream. She was telling, when you are in the dream, you feel that you are in the dream. But when you wake up from the dream, when you come to the waking state, you feel that the dream is within you. So all the objects there are dream are only creations of the mind. That means the entire dream is false. And if the entire dream becomes false, so there will be no enemy at all. Why to fear like that? In the same way, she was used to explain that this waking state is also a dream. And this waking state is also a dream. So, where is the enemy? Why you fear like that? The dream becomes false when you come to waking state. And in the same way, the waking state is also the creation of our mind. And this waking becomes false when we attain jnana samadhi. So when we dream, in the dream, there are plants, there are animals, sun, moon, planets, stars, even the sky. So all these are in us only. Means how much big we are. We are bigger than the sky that has been seen in the dream. We are bigger in the sky. How strong is our mind? How our mind can create the sky of the dream. So the world is yourself. The dream world is yourself. In the same way, the waking state is yourself. You are the master of the whole world. The queen, the king, the plants, the animals, the citizens. You are the emperor of the whole universe. Why you fear? So don't fear at all. You sleep in yogic sleep. You sleep fearlessly. Not only that, you are the substratum for everything that has been there in the universe. So there are no enemies at all. And if there are no enemies at all, so where is fear to you? So the sun, the moon, the planets are the playing balls of yours. So you sleep in yogi sleep. Like that she was explaining. She was explaining to her children, you are not this gross body. And there is no happiness in sensory objects. There is no happiness in the gross body. Like that, she was singing the spiritual songs. And her children were in a easier position to understand whatever she preached. So she had 8 children. All were sons, male children only. And the first 7 sons they became realized. And they were wandering in the country to spread the knowledge of spirituality. And the eighth son was there. And the king thought, if the eighth one also will be looked after by Madalsa, he will also become a realized soul and he will leave the kingdom. And who will be there to rule the kingdom? So he thought he can keep with him and he can arrange a nurse to serve him like that. He didn't leave his son with his wife. He arranged a nurse, and the nurse served the eighth son, and Mother Madalsa was not in a position to sing the spiritual songs. He was not in a position. The eighth son was not in a position to listen the spiritual songs of his mother. She didn't feed her breast milk to him, and he had no knowledge about the self. He had no knowledge of the spiritual principles. And he only became the king later. His mother Madalsa expired, the king expired, and the name of eighth son was Alark. And Alark became the king. He ruled for many years. And the seven elder brothers, they thought our younger brother Alark is ruling the country, ruling the kingdom. So he will not have any time to listen to the spiritual teachings. And he cannot become permanently happy. And he will remain as an ignorant person. So definitely we have to make him enlightened with spiritual knowledge. We can make him permanently happy. What to do? They thought like that. And all his seven brothers, they returned to the capital city. And they asked King Alark to return back the whole kingdom. The whole kingdom is theirs. It was their birthright to rule the whole kingdom. Then King Alark became very sorrowful. He had no sleep at all. And there were only tears in his eyes. And at that time, he saw the Raksha Bandhan that had been tied by his mother Madalsa. And when Queen Madalsa was in a position to die, so at that time, she tied that Raksha Bandhan. And you save it carefully, don't destroy it. Think it as very holy and don't open it at any time. But only you open when you get great danger or when you will be in misery, great misery. So he recollected that and he took the Raksha Bandhan and he started reading it. And he was in a position to read it very keenly. And as he was going to read it, he thought over it very deeply. And Mother Madalsa had told, so you have to read very carefully. Read it. And you have to understand it very deeply. That is, read, reflect, and realize. Is the only spiritual sadhana. Like that, he read very keenly and later thought very deeply about it, and he became a enlightened soul. He came to know that there is no happiness in the sensory objects. There is no happiness in the gross body. And he knew that he was not the gross body himself. And he thought that the whole dream is one's creation of the mind. And in the same way, the waking state is also a dream. The dream is false. In the same way, he came to know the waking state is also false. So, in the dream, the sun, the stars, the planets, the plants, the animals are only creation of the mind. They are false. In the same way, the waking state is also false. So, the sun, the earth, the moon, the stars, whatever there is in the waking state is false like a dream. And the queen, the king, the citizens, the plants, and animals, he was in a position to think that they are all the creation of his minds. Means they were himself. Later he thought that. So his brothers means himself. He means his brothers. And what is the difference? If his brothers rule the kingdom or he rules the kingdom, he is the same. And he ran and asked all his seven brothers to take back the kingdom and they can rule it. So kindly relieve me from the great misery of ruling the kingdom. Then his elder brothers explained, no, no, it is not like that. And we have no desire to rule the kingdom. But you remain as an ignorant person. You didn't listen to the spiritual principles and you didn't understand where exactly is the happiness. So, to make you enlightened with spiritual principles, to make you permanently happy, we came here and asked the kingdom back, and later you read the principal teachings written by our mother, Queen. Now you have been enlightened with the spiritual principles. You become permanently happy. You have become jnani, and our work is over. We did all this because to make you permanently happy, to make you enlightened person, to make you permanently happy. Like that, they left the kingdom. Later, he ruled the kingdom, and he was thinking, when I dream, so there will be the person who dies, and the person, so who will be taking the dead body to the burial ground, and the person who digs the pit for burying their dead body. So all have been created by mind. The dead body and the one digging the pit for burying the dead body, and one who takes the dead body to the pit. So all are creations of the mind. So the whole world is a dream. And he came to know that he is the light of lights. He is the son of sons. And he is a only actor on the stage of the world. Only he has to play his part. So he played his part as an actor, as a king, and he remained witness to the whole kingdom, and he was permanently happy. In the same way, if we have to become happy, or if we have to make others happy, what we have to do is we have to make the people to listen to the spiritual principles. We have to explain them the spiritual knowledge. Then only we can make the people permanently happy. Otherwise, they will be quite miserable. Bhagavana Buddha explains. So, what is the cause of misery? The cause of misery is only the desire for sensory objects. Buddha says so. And if we think in our own way, why is there is the desire for sensory objects? We will come to know that there is happiness in sensory objects. That is the cause. Why we think that there is a desire of sensory objects? If we try to know, there is the desire of sensory objects because we know that they are the givers of happiness. That is how we have a desire of sensory objects. Why there is a desire of sensory objects? In deep sleep, we have no body consciousness and we don't desire any sensory objects. When we wake up from the sleep, we ask whether you have prepared tea or are there any biscuits like that. So when we come to the waking state, when we will have the body consciousness, then only we will be having the desire for sensory objects. So the cause of desiring sensory objects is our body consciousness. And if that is the case, what is the cause for body consciousness? While we living, we talk, but we don't talk when we die. Why? So when we are living, so the talker is there in the gross body. And when we leave the prana, the talker leaves the gross body. and only the dead body remains. That means we are not the dead body, but we are the talker of the that is there in the dead body. So talk anything, we have to have the understanding, the consciousness. That means we are the talkers. We are consciousness. We are not this gross body. But we don't exactly know whether we are the gross body or we are the consciousness. And the consciousness is of the nature of bliss. That means we are the bliss. So all misery that is there in the world is due to the ignorance of our real nature. So we are consciousness. And happiness is only in consciousness. And if we know our real nature, that is of consciousness, that is of happiness, we will become permanently happy. So, if at all we have to become permanently happy, we have to know that there is no happiness in sensory objects. The sensual enjoyment ends in tiresomeness and weariness. There is no iota of happiness in sensory objects. And even there is no happiness in gross body. When we will have gross body, there will be hunger, thirst, cold, bright sunlight, saltiness, insult, disease, old age, desire to enjoy the sensory objects, and there is fear of death. That means the gross body also will not only be in a position to give us permanent happiness. And we are of the nature of a bliss. And if we know our real nature, which is consciousness and bliss, we will become permanently happy. So, if at all we have to make any person permanently happy, we have to have the Raksha Bandhan. We have to have the self knowledge. And if we will have the self knowledge, so we will be permanently happy and we can make others permanently happy. By this, I will end my talk.